Come their junior year, I know a lot of people who feel unsure or unconfident in their current majors and feel like that it's too late in the game to change because of money and time wasted, which is totally justified. If this is you, or more importantly, if you're a freshman or sophomore who hasn't actually chosen a major yet, this video is for you. I'm about to fill you in on everything that I know and everything that I've learned about choosing and changing majors. My name is Victoria. I started at the University of Alabama as an undecided major, and now I have a major and a career path that I love and am so interested in. Even though the 4 years of college may sound like a super long time, I promise that it actually feels very, very short. And even though you might think that you have those 4 years to figure everything out, actually 3 of those years are probably going to be spent filling out a very specific checklist for one major, and you don't have nearly as much time as you think to actually choose a major that you're going to have to stick with for the rest of college. So my first point for people who are about to start college is start undecided if you can. And for people who are just starting college or who have been taking classes for a few years now, this goes for both groups. Don't be afraid to take random classes. This may cost more money or spend you a lot more time right now, but if you think about the big picture, it could save you money in the long run because you may be able to go ahead and find a career that you're really satisfied with rather than having to go back for another degree or continued education elsewhere. My freshman year at Alabama, like I said, I was able to go in undecided. Now, this was mainly because in high school, I had taken a lot of AP classes, which basically let me test out of all of my gen eds because I took everything from math to history to English, anything you can think of, I took it in high school. So that meant that my entire freshman year, I could be undecided and I could take random classes while all of my other friends were taking gen eds, and I could see what major I felt best fit into. And when I say I took random classes, I mean random classes. I took everything from psychology to nutrition, early American literature to athletic science, creative writing to criminal justice. I mean, I took so many different things and really found a few things that I was interested in, but definitely a few things that I loved and that I thought would actually fit for a career. After my first year, I made the decision to double major in psychology and nutrition with a minor in creative writing, which is kind of random. And then after that year, I decided to drop the psychology major down to a minor. I dropped the creative writing minor altogether, and then I kept nutrition as a major. So I was a nutrition major with a psychology minor. Now, I'm aware that not a lot of people have this ability to take all of these random classes freshman year because of all the gen eds you have to take. So here's my advice for people who already have their schedules booked up. If you can take an extra class, a random class, like for example, at Alabama, usually people take about 15 to 16 credit hours a semester, but you could go ahead and add on 18. And even though it might be a little bit harder, you might at least get to chase out a passion and see if it would be worthwhile for you to pursue for the rest of college. Or if you really are completely booked up freshman year, and also this goes for if you're later in your college career, ask your friends if you can go along to lectures with them, because there are so many huge lectures that happen every single day at the universities, and a lot of big ones that are really interesting, like Nutrition 101, Intro to Criminal Justice, Psychopathology, Applied Math, Accounting, literally anything you can think of. There are huge lecture halls where you probably wouldn't even be noticed, and you could just sit in the back of the room and see if it's something that you might be interested in. And I'm aware that this may be unappealing, especially because college semesters can already be pretty daunting with how busy they are and how packed the schedules are. And a lot of people, even though they're currently pursuing higher education, are pretty averse to taking time out of their day to learn things that don't particularly serve them at that minute, like things that are actually going to make them the grades for the classes that they're actually enrolled in. But I'm going to challenge you to go out of your way, take some extra time in your week with the thought that it will save you so much time and so much energy and so much emotions way down the line in your life. Take that little bit of time every week, go to one extra lecture, go to one extra class, and just sit in and see if it's something that you think that you might be interested in to take the next semester or to even make as a major. You never know if something might literally be your calling or what you might love to do for the rest of your life, and college is as good a time as any to take the risk and figure that out. And this kind of goes along with my next point, which is don't limit your options and don't be afraid to dream big, and think out there. You can literally do any major and no dream is too unattainable. If you're conflicted about what career path you want to take or what major you want to choose, I would normally think that maybe you should go see a school advisor, but honestly and personally, from what I've heard from my own experience and from my friends here at the university, I think with bigger universities, it's harder to have conversations with an advisor like that because most advisors are specific to a specific college. Like, for example, we have the business college, the College of Arts and Sciences, the nursing college, things like that. And those advisors' jobs are mainly just to get people into the next round of classes for the next semester and tell them what prerequisites they need for those classes. The advisors aren't really advising about what major they should choose because usually that decision is already made, and there really aren't that many general advisors that could give you information about other majors or other colleges. I would say that the only exception is, like I said, I was an undecided, so I did have a very general advisor who could help me kind of figure out which colleges did what and which one would suit me best. So again, if you have that option to choose undecided, I would do that. But otherwise, if you want to find out more about specific majors and specific careers, I would go online. I would go to YouTube. I would go read up on other people's experiences, watch videos on what it's like to do a specific career path that you're interested in, or what it's like to be in a week of a life of somebody who's doing a specific major that you're interested in. I mean, there are jobs that you might never have even heard of, or career paths that you may be interested in, but didn't even know that they existed. And this is really worth figuring out because even let's say you're interested in math. So you're thinking, well, I'll go ahead and get a math degree and then I'll go from there. I'll figure it out down the line. But if you are interested in a really specific niche or a really specific job that has to do with math, you might find out that actually another major like computer science, or at least having that as a minor, might be way more beneficial to you than just having math as a major. So looking really deep into things online that might interest you, I think is a great idea. And the best way to learn is from seeing what other people do and seeing what it's like in real life. And seriously, look into everything that you are remotely interested in because you don't want to regret not doing it later down the line. Now moving on to my third main point. Even though it feels like and seems like that college is everything right now and the decisions that you make are only going to impact the next 4 years, I really encourage you to think ahead to the rest of your life and the way that these decisions may impact your future career and your future lifestyle. I know from firsthand, it's really easy to want to be in a major or be in classes that your roommates or your best friends are in, and it's also really easy to want to do something that's super easy, or I guess considered easy by some people. For example, psychology, which I originally was a major in, is a huge popular major, at least at UA, because the classes are pretty interesting and the classes are also relatively easy. But what I realized and what I noticed over the course of these psychology classes is a lot of people did not find out until too late in the game that if you really want to do a career in psychology that makes a good amount of money, then extra schooling is required. And pretty much most psychology students, when they graduate college, have to go straight into submitting other applications for master's programs, PhD programs, and post-bac programs, which a lot of people don't realize how much time, money, and effort is going to go into all of that schooling even after they finish their 4 years of college. This leads a lot of people to kind of cop out and do jobs that they weren't really interested in just so they don't have to do more school, or do jobs that don't actually pay them what they were hoping that they would get paid because they don't want to spend more money or invest more money into going back to school after college. This is a totally fair decision to make based on that information, but what's so sad to me is that most people don't find it out until too late in their college careers to change majors to something else that might pique their interest based on the actual career that would come with it, based on their expectations and all of the money and time that they actually want to put into their education. Because they might have gone back in time and chosen a program that wasn't psychology, such as something that would only take 4 years to get a really decent job at a really decent pay rate. Or let's take engineering, for example. My freshman year, I knew so many people who were majoring in engineering. It was a super popular major. But very soon, a lot of people started dropping. Every single month, it seemed like somebody was switching their major from engineering to something else. And the main reason for that was because these students were used to making all A's, all B's, and then they found themselves in these classes making C's and D's because that was actually what was expected by their professor because these math classes were that difficult. I also know that these engineering students spent more time in the library and more time studying than anybody that I knew on campus, and that was really difficult, especially when a lot of people were going out, hanging out with friends, doing things in the Tuscaloosa area, rather than just staying in the library on a Friday night. And that's really hard to cope with, and a big reason that a lot of people wanted to switch from engineering is because they felt like they didn't have much of a social life, or they were only hanging out with their engineering friends and only staying in the libraries. Which again, this is totally valid and totally understandable, and I might have done that too if I started as engineering. But I think that it's worth it to think about the long-term future, and that an actual job in engineering might not be as difficult as sitting in these classes all day and preparing for these exams. I know that later on in the engineering major, you get to choose and specialize on one area, which means that in your actual career, you're not going to be utilizing every single piece of information that you learned over the 4 years of college. You're only going to have to know what's specific for your actual career. So even though a lot of those weed out classes were really difficult and really hard, thinking about the future and thinking about what it might actually be like to have a future as an engineer and a career might be beneficial, because it might make you rethink yourself and rethink your decision to change that major if you really think that that's something that you could be passionate about and something that you can enjoy doing for the rest of your life. So the moral of this story is that even though it might feel like the next 4 years are the most pressing things and the thing that you need to focus all your decisions on, I think it's important to think about these 4 years as if they are a setup for the rest of your life, because they really are. I mean, these are pivotal years that really say a lot about the kind of person that you're going to be, the kind of job that you're going to have, and the type of lifestyle that you're going to be living. With the major that you're thinking about, have you thought about what your retirement is going to look like? What salary you'll be living off of? And if there's room to grow in that salary? How much time will you get off each year? And is it common to get raises? What will your hours look like? A consistent 9 to 5 or a sporadic job where you're on the clock pretty much 24 hours a day? Or is it going to require you to bring work home even after a 9 to 5 day? These questions could be pivotal to think about, even though they might be the last thing that's on your mind, but it could be a big indicator of what you might want to do and which major you might want to choose for your future. And now we come to my last point, which is it's never too late to change your mind, nor is it ever too early to start thinking about other paths or different futures. If you are years into a degree and questioning your future, or maybe you even know for a fact that you don't like it, I'm asking you not to lose hope. Maybe the major that you thought was your passion isn't going to pay for the life that you had dreamed of. Maybe the major that you thought you could fight through for to get the salary is too grueling and already proving to have too long and too hard days. Maybe you've grown as a person, as we all do in a major way throughout college, and you just find that what you thought you were interested in at the start of your freshman year is not what you're interested in at the end of your junior year. Regardless the reason, there is always something that you can do to make a change. And while I'm not encouraging anything impulsive, what I am encouraging is just a deep dive into the career that you're pursuing and what it would be like to change to something else. Because it's always free to do a Google search. It's always free to watch a YouTube video. And it's always free to dive into what it might be like to change your mind or go down a different path. Just don't close yourself in a box and throw away the key just because you've already taken 2 years of classes in a specific major. And if this is the case for you, this is the time where you could go to a college advisor, because what they can do is they can cross-reference the classes that you've taken with other majors and see if other majors might have the same prerequisites or the same types of base classes. For example, I'm a nutrition major, and I know a lot of nursing majors who ended up switching to nutrition because we have to take pretty much all of the same general classes. So they were pretty much caught up with us even after finishing the entirety of junior year, because the only thing that they had left to take was some of the more nutrition specific classes to actually finish our degree. Or rather than changing your major so late in the game, you could also add a minor, which again may take you a little bit more time and a little bit more money, but if it could help you specialize in your career or give you some specific experience into what you might actually want to do after college, it could be really beneficial. You could also plan to get your master's degree after your bachelor's in a totally different area, because that is not all too uncommon either. All in all, it's never too late to start investing time into looking into your future. And no matter how far along you are in your journey, it's never too late to look up things that might pique your interest and allow yourself to dream those dreams that you never thought you could. In my opinion, taking the time to look into your future, look into your decisions, look into your wants and things that pique your interest is actually the best way to make the most of your time, your money, and pave the way for your happiness and satisfaction. If college is going to be so expensive, then we better make the absolute most of it while we can and make decisions as early on as possible, because it's never too late to change your mind or go down a different path. You're not trapped, I promise. I hope that this video was very helpful, and if you're about to start college right now, good luck. I wish you the best of luck. It's going to be the most fun 4 years, and I'm just so happy for you. I'm so excited for you, and just take all the time that you want and all the time that you need to choose something that you genuinely love and something that you're genuinely interested in. And even if you've already chosen a major, go ahead and look at some other things that you might be interested in, because you never know, there might be something that's a little bit more suited for you. And if you're already in your college career or on your college journey like me, hey girl, we are going to do this together. We're going to finish it out together. And 4 years may seem like a long time, but we got to savor every single minute of it for both just having the time of our lives and getting the most out of our classes. You are so smart, you are so awesome, and you are so capable, and I'm so excited to start this school year with all of y'all. If you want to hear specifically what it's like to do a food and nutrition major, I'm actually about to do a full deep dive video into that. So if nutrition piques your interest and you're thinking about that major, I'm going to give you everything that you need to know about what it's like to be a food and nutrition major, what types of classes you take, and what type of career comes with it after graduating. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!